Finding comfort in nature for many people means taking a hike. Literally, that's for me. That works for me.
Yes, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big sunrise, sunset person. And there's also comfort that comes directly from nature. Laurie Heusinger from Alpha Omega Therapeutics, did I say Laura? I meant to say Laurie, I'm sorry about that, is also here to talk about something very special. It's called flower essence therapy. And we're going to discuss what that means to those of you who don't know. So let's begin, first of all, by welcoming you. Thanks for being here, Laurie.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
good
you.
morning.
We appreciate your time, and we want to talk about what Bach Flower Remedies are for those who don't know.
Bach Flower Remedies are tinctures that are made from the petals of flowers. And what was identified by Dr. Bach and actually indigenous cultures for hundreds and thousands of years is that the flowers actually resonate and have a energetic effect on the emotional system. So if you take those flowers and boil them in water, it extracts sort of the energetic components out of it, and then you can take this liquid and it makes adjustments in the emotional system. So it starts to calm the emotional system.
So is it mainly a treatment for emotions then?
Really, Bach Flower Remedies are a treatment for emotions.
Like stress.
For stress, yes.
And I always I always wondered, having not known about it before, I didn't know if it was something that you ingested or if it was something that you just put topically. So I guess you do both, right?
You do both. Actually, originally they were made to be taken orally, so that you would take little drops, you can put them in your water bottle, drink it through the day, and it begins to very gently and gradually adjust the emotional system. But then other work was done that they found if you use topical applications, you could relieve pain in the body. Actually, and that gives us an indicator of what types of stress cause what pains in the body. So it's a nice connection.
Interesting. So they basically are targeting. They're like targeting those emotions.
Right. And I almost see the emotions like very specific frequency or bandwidths. You know, each emotion being a different bandwidth within the emotional field. And this remedy will adjust to this one, which will relieve that pain. And this remedy will adjust another one. So you can see it in that kind of a gradient.
Now, how often do you use them, and how much do you apply?
Actually, if you're going to use a topical application, you can use them 2-3 times a day, and you put a few drops of the tincture that is in these bottles right on the area of pain. If you're going to use them orally, it's 2 or 3 drops several times a day. So you could put it in your water bottle, in your drinks. But then you would take those, you know, for kind of chronic emotional stress situations. You would take them for as many as 6 months.
So going back to the basics, before we even get to that point, how do we even know which ones to use?
Well, actually, there's a lot of books that are written about these types of remedies that identify very specific emotions. So each remedy, each flower regulates or affects a specific kind of emotion. The flower from the aspen tree affects sort of unknown, vague anxieties, whereas from the beech tree, the flower from the beech tree is a very critical, intolerant kind of stress. The cherry blossom is for feeling out of control, like you're going to explode.
Which
so
a lot of people are feeling, as we just talked about. I mean, that's the thing.
Yes.
So basically, like if I wanted to say, if we were sitting here and I said, gosh, I'm feeling this way, whatever that is, I could look through the book and we could say, now this is something that I would want to take to remedy this, and then we just, and that's how we determine it?
Yes, that's how you determine it. You'll look at it and you'll go, wow, I do all of these things. I'm kind of shy and timid and, you know, and I'm afraid all the time. And so, you know, maybe it would be the mimulus flower. But the other interesting thing is that not only do they begin to reduce the actual stress, they began to produce a positive effect. So instead of feeling afraid, you began to feel very deep courage. Or instead of feeling critical, you began to feel tolerant.
Wow.
So there's a polarity shift that we see taking place in the emotional field.
So the mimulus, you were saying that's used for fear a lot.
That's used for fear, very specific. You know what you're afraid of.
That's great.
Right.
So, and then it produces a very deep personal courage, which is the opposite.
Now, I was looking through the book, and there were all kinds of different plants and flowers that you're pulling from. Like, how many are there? And then can you be allergic to them? I know I'm allergic to certain trees and stuff.
Oh, good
can
question.
you can there be an allergic reaction to using some of the topicals since they're derived?
You know what? People have asked me that question many times, but because they're not really taken from the pollen of the actual plant, and they're taken more from the petal of the flower, we don't really see allergic reactions taking
great.
place.
Good to know, because I saw the oak and I thought, I'm allergic to
That's
oak,
a good
but you know,
question.
it's the pollen. You're right, so that wouldn't bother me
Exactly.
then.
That's a
We
good
do
point.
not see people react allergically to them.
How many remedies are there?
Well, in the Bach system, there's 38, but there's
Okay.
Fest Flower, which is the foundation of flower essences, I believe, and they've got you know, several more flower remedies. So really, most any flower you could produce a remedy, but Dr. Bach he really isolated 38 specific remedies for his system.
And can you actually overdose on this? I mean, if you take too much?
No, it
can't.
doesn't
Okay,
really
that's
produce an overdose reaction, except that they are preserved in alcohol, so you don't want to overdose on the alcohol.
That's a good point. Now, going back to those books, so you have, each book has a different guide point, basically. One's like a map?
Yes,
much?
actually,
Okay.
the first book here really talks about the emotional profile that you would really look for in an individual to give them a specific remedy.
Okay.
But this one really talks about the specific parts of the body and where you'll have pain.
Targets?
And so if you have pain right here, you would pick the vervain remedy, and it indicates that you're struggling with a specific stress. So
that's
it's
great.
fascinating, and yeah, it's
Wow, so
fascinating.
stress can
connection.
actually trigger body pains?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, it's behind a lot of body
Interesting.
pain. So yes,
That is really interesting.
You know, and you hear that a lot. You hear, you know, when you have a headache or a stomach ache or whatever, people will often say, well, it's because you're stressed out.
right.
You
And
know, so
yes,
this is the way to do it. I mean, and
This
is
is
it
one
easy
way.
for us to find these books?
yes. Actually, you can go online, the Bach Flower Therapy. If you look up Bach Flower Essence, you will find a variety of books that are written. These are
good.
two that I like to use.
And this is not Bach as in the composer.
No, actually, and I think they sometimes pronounce it Bach Flower Remedies, but no, it's Dr. Edward Bach was a natural physician.
So that's a good way for us to remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
We did hear music
Yeah,
soothes the soul,
exactly.
too.
You know, you'll feel better, you'll sing.
Yes. And are they also available at Whole Foods? I heard they were available at Whole Foods.
Yes, actually, most health food stores will have books
Good.
on the remedies and the remedies as well.
And another question I'm sure people are thinking about in conjunction with being stressed out, are they all affordable?
You know, a bottle is about, I think, anywhere from $10 to $13.
That's not bad at
so,
all.
yeah, you can go in and pick the remedies you want, take them for a while. You might find that your emotional system shifts and you need another type of remedy. You go pick it up, and so it's
Yeah.
affordable.
Yes. It is affordable.
Yeah,
That sounds
and
good.
cheaper than, you know, any copay that you'd have to pay for an antidepressant. So
Well,
this will
you know,
boost you up.
yes, there you go.
And
There
it's
you
very
go.
healthy better than grabbing a bottle of Tylenol out of the cabinet.
Exactly. Definitely a good way to do it. Well, Laurie, we really appreciate you being here and sharing this with people.
Thank you very
because I
much.
think people really want to understand how they can get a hold of their emotions.
Yes.
So what I want to
Thank
do is
you.
I want to show your information so people can contact you directly. What's this
Okay.
that we're looking at?
Actually, that's for our other interview.
Oh, okay, because we're going to be talking about toggling. So
Yes.
this is a little tease. Little
Yes,
teaser.
that's a little teaser.
For what's going to be coming up very soon. But in the meantime, if you do want to contact Laurie, this is her information. You can let them know.
Oh, yes, Alpha Omega Therapeutics. We are located at 3500 Comanche. Phone number is 880-8199.
Yes, and I think a lot of people will be calling you.
Well,
We all need a little help right now.
we will
And-
definitely tell them where they can get the remedies.
And I'm
Great.
definitely ready to hear a little bit more about toggling, which, again, is going to
Yes.
be coming up later this week. So
Yes.
you definitely have to
Well,
look
thank you
forward to
very
it out.
much.
Thank you so much, Laurie, for being here.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. And we're back with more after the break.